A formation of 9 Aermacchi MB-339 jets splits midair, their mirrored movements carving the sky as they plummet. Below, a crowd of 300,000 spectators, their eyes tracking the jets as they rapidly approach them. The two jet groups widen momentarily, then tighten their paths, drawing closer as they near the ground. At the last second, they soar upward, their precise choreography creating a heart-shaped trail in the sky. The crowd gasps in admiration. But before the cheers can erupt, a 10th jet streaks into view. The solo aircraft will pierce the heart in a stunning finale, but it comes in too soon, too fast, and its alignment is fatally off. The Italian air acrobats. By the late 1980s, few aerobatic demonstration teams commanded as much reverence as the Italian Frecce Tricolori, officially known as the 313th Aerobatic Training Group, National Aerobatic Patrol. Audiences from across the globe flocked to airbases and air shows. Their performances seemed to defy the laws of physics, with jets slicing through the air in impossibly tight formations, painting vivid pictures against the heavens with trails of green, white, and red. Their chosen aircraft was the Aermacchi MB-339, capable of reaching speeds of 558 miles per hour at sea level and a range of 950 nautical miles. But it was not just speed and range that defined this jet. With a pressurized cockpit, ejection seats, and a jettisonable canopy, it also claimed to offer high-security measures to pilots engaging in the high-stakes maneuvers that defined the Frecce Tricolori's performances. But on August 28, 1988, these security measures meant little as a dark cloud soared over the Frecce Tricolori, and an aerial accident unlike anything the world had ever seen unleashed a scene of destruction upon pilots and innocent bystanders alike. The Ramstein disaster. At the U.S. Air Force Ramstein Air Base in western Germany, a crowd of 300,000 attendees, mostly servicemen and their families, buzzed with excitement as they gathered to witness one of the legendary performances by the Frecce Tricolori. Vendors set their stations, while spectators scrambled to secure the coveted best seats for the show. Amid the crowd was Kai Walter, seated with his parents. As they settled in, Walter's father suddenly decided to change places to avoid the smoke drifting from a nearby barbecue grill. Walter later recalled, quote, "My dad said, we have to move to the left side. And my mom said, no, we have to stay here. I want to stay here." And so we stayed. The Walter family didn't realize it then, but this small decision to stay put would save their lives. The spectators' gazes turned skyward as the Frecce Tricolori took off. The formation consisted of 9 Aermacchi MB-339 jets and a soloist. The team was prepared to execute a repertoire of 20 maneuvers. That day, the performance would include the pierced heart, an intricate and high-risk maneuver demanding high precision. The jets, divided into 2 mirroring formations, would trace the outline of a heart in the sky. The heart would then be dramatically pierced by a solo aircraft, deemed Pony 10, soaring through the center at high speed, directly toward the crowd. The aircraft had to cross paths just above the runway, leaving no room for error. Timing, formation, and communication among the pilots had to be nothing short of perfect. But by 3:44 p.m., only 4 minutes into the performance, tragedy would strike. During the piercing phase of the maneuver, Lieutenant Colonel Ivo Nutarelli, piloting Pony 10, came in too low and too fast as he approached the crossing point. In a matter of seconds, his jet collided midair with Pony 1, flown by Lieutenant Colonel Mario Naldini, and Pony 2, piloted by Captain Giorgio Alessio. The impact was devastating. The collision shredded the tail section of Pony 1, sending it into an uncontrollable spiral that clipped Pony 2. All 3 jets disintegrated on impact, unleashing a storm of debris and flames over the runway and the packed spectator area. Pony 10, wrapped in flames, continued on a fiery, ballistic trajectory toward the ground. The jet slammed into the runway, creating a massive fireball of aviation fuel that tumbled into the densest section of the crowd near a refrigerated ice cream truck. Pony 1 veered into a UH-60 Black Hawk medevac helicopter parked nearby, causing a secondary explosion and fatally wounding the pilot, Captain Kim Strader, who would succumb to his injuries weeks later. Meanwhile, Naldini, the pilot of Pony 2, was lost as he desperately attempted to eject. Tragically, his parachute failed to deploy in time, and he struck the runway before he could escape. Still standing next to his parents, Kai Walter looked around to discover he couldn't see his mother. The flames were so close he could feel them on his skin. Walter states, quote, "I was thinking I'm on fire, but I wasn't." His father pulled him away immediately. Luckily, his mother was just a couple of feet away from them. But not everyone was as fortunate as the Walters. In just 7 seconds, the performance had turned into the worst airshow tragedy history had ever seen. Chaos over Ramstein. Thousands of spectators rushed to flee the scene. The catastrophe had unfolded so quickly that many didn't comprehend what had just occurred. Yet amidst the confusion, some ran toward the flames and wreckage, determined to help the injured in any way they could. Over the radio, a doctor desperately tried to convey the scale of the disaster. Quote, "Not all the injured people are transported away by helicopter or ambulance. There's total chaos around us, and some of the injured are even being transported on pickup trucks that are not leaving through the emergency exit. They are driving alongside the drifting visitors." While some survivors recalled that emergency teams arrived quickly, the magnitude of the situation overwhelmed their capabilities. Many first responders were unprepared for the devastation they encountered. A paramedic stationed in Ludwigshafen later recounted the disarray. Quote, "There was no paramedic attending this transport, just a non-German-speaking driver, unfamiliar with the area, on an odyssey through the town, until he was able to find the hospital." It's reported that the first German ambulance helicopters started to arrive 30 minutes after the incident, but these rescue vehicles were initially barred from entering the bases due to strict security protocols, delaying critical medical assistance. As the emergency center in Kaiserslautern became inundated with hundreds of injured, the challenges mounted. Victims arrived in waves, many transported without having been attended to at the crash site. Some had endured prolonged suffering, their untreated burns and injuries leaving them in dire, life-threatening conditions. Around 600 people volunteered to donate blood at local clinics, eager to aid the overwhelmed medical staff and help the victims in any way they could. First responders worked tirelessly to save as many lives as possible, but the scale of the disaster was unprecedented. By the end of the day, 346 spectators had sustained severe injuries, while 70 people, including the 3 pilots involved in the midair collision, had lost their lives. Conspiracy. In the aftermath of the Ramstein Airshow, whispers of a darker motive behind the tragedy began to circulate. On June 27, 1980, Itavia Flight 870, a Douglas DC-9 en route from Bologna to Palermo, had disintegrated mid-air over the Tyrrhenian Sea near Ustica, claiming the lives of all 81 occupants. At first, investigators focused on the possibility of a terrorist bombing, but as evidence emerged, a disturbing theory gained traction, suggesting that the DC-9 had been destroyed by a missile strike. According to this theory, the plane was accidentally down during a covert NATO military operation, allegedly targeting a Libyan aircraft carrying Muammar Gaddafi. As rumors spread, accusations of a cover-up by high-ranking officials and NATO allies began to surface. Among those tied to the incident were Mario Naldini and Ivo Nutarelli, the 2 senior pilots in the Italian Air Force who perished in the Ramstein disaster. On the day of the Ustica tragedy, both had reportedly been piloting F-104 fighter jets near the crash site. Their proximity, coupled with their expertise, sparked speculation that they may have witnessed something crucial, something that could directly link the DC-9's destruction to NATO's alleged operation. What deepened the mystery further was the revelation that Naldini and Nutarelli were scheduled to testify in the trial investigating the Ustica massacre a few days after the Ramstein Airshow. Their testimony, many believed, might have exposed the events leading to the plane's destruction, but their tragic ends ensured their voices were forever silenced. This eerie alignment of events fueled conspiracy theories, suggesting that the Ramstein disaster was no accident. Supporters of this theory point to other troubling details. Radar records from the night of the DC-9 crash were mysteriously destroyed, allegations of falsified documents, and widespread accusations of a high-level cover-up orchestrated to obscure the truth. In 2023, the controversy was reignited when former Italian Prime Minister Giuliano Amato declared that the crash was part of a NATO operation to take out Gaddafi. According to Amato, A missile fired by French jets targeting the Libyan dictator's aircraft had failed, and Itavia Flight 870 became its unintended victim. Whether the Ramstein Airshow disaster was part of a calculated effort to bury the secrets of Ustica, or just a tragic accident, remains a mystery.